We have a very important guest and very dear friend. Um, he has seen many things, many organizations very closely. He holds a very um, important position in an organization which is growing and in numbers and growth, and a lot of people really aspire to really be there. It's a pleasure to really welcome Ayaskant.
Thank you, Anish.
And I'm really looking forward for the discussion with you today. Um, yeah, so to start with, maybe and look, the objective of such discussion is about just to have the conversation, and in the end, if let's say young professionals, whether they are in HR or also in the business, if they can really get something out of it, it'll be our job done, right? So that's the way I really put it here. And that's the end, we call it Unplugged with Anish, so it's no filter and you can say whatever you really want. But to start with is always really get to know you. I know you, but a lot of people don't know you, so get to know you, that who you are, where you from, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Ayaskant. I lead the HR function for Mphasis. We're an IT services company um, spread across the globe. We have 30,000 employees working in the company day in and out, and we take pride in being a tech-first company. Um, Born and brought up in the eastern part of India, Odisha, where I studied up to my class 12th, and then of course went for my engineering to NIT Surat. I mean, the reason I went for engineering
So
was
where in Odisha?
there's a place called Cuttack.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I did my schooling in a school called Stewart School, and then in Ravenshaw College I did my plus two, and then obviously there's larger discussion then in terms of what should I do next. So parents told me to get into engineering, so I got into engineering. I moved into the western part of India, Surat, and I studied engineering from NIT Surat. And as luck would have it, everybody in the wing was writing CAT, so I did write CAT. Again, I didn't know what MBA held to me, and so I joined XIMB after that directly from campus after my engineering. Studied it HR. Probably again wasn't sure if I should get into HR or not, but first year was generic, so studied everything and liked HR, so got into HR. And then obviously worked in some outstanding companies, namely last known Tubro, uh, General Electric, Wipro, and now of course here at Mphasis. At home, wife,
Yeah.
son, he is 18. Just we're empty nesters now. He's just gone out for his education. Back home, we now have home in Bhubaneswar in Odisha. So that's where I have my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, and everybody else. But out and out, if I look at my last 25, 28 years of my career, out and out an HR professional, right from my first day at L&T onwards, been in HR throughout.
So this is very cliche question, and you must have been asked many times. Engineering, then HR, and what is the transition, and what is the link there, and what one is that by you flow with that, but what is that you've really taken some of those things from learning as well from this HR profession.
Look, I mean,
Are you good at numbers?
I'm okay with numbers, I can
Okay.
say. And obviously, but the engineering background helps you
Correct. That's the one I asked. Yeah.
to be decent with numbers. And again, in the first 4 5 years of my career, I was into CNB because everybody thought that I could do a decent Lotus 1 2 3 then. Yeah.
Oh yes, Lotus 1 2 3. Yes, used to be
So
there. Yeah.
and now we have Excel sheets,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, first 4 5 years were into CNB, but the reason I moved into HR was I thought when I looked at all the subjects, I thought I was not that good in marketing. I don't think I can sell well, nor can I while I understood the 4 P's of Philip Kotler, I was not sure if I can practice them well. So HR was more by default. Um, Finance could have been an option, but there was some really bright guys in my batch. So I thought there is no way I'm beating them in campus hiring. So I thought let me kind of get into HR is an easy way out. But much later in life, I realized that it could have been the best possible decision I took. Again, I'm talking about my perspective on what HR was in 1997, 98, and what it is now are like very, very, very different. And I'm just so glad that I chose this function.
But today the time has really changed, right? People are much more informed before taking the decision on what career they want to really take it, how they want to do it. um, Anything you want to really say, any, let's say, a message you want to really give to any budding professional who is coming or who is starting to.
I believe a career looks good or bad on retrospect. It's a series of choices that one makes, right? Um, so at least I personally have always tried to stay in the present, give your best, whatever comes your way, um, and try and learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
Not only from your job that you're doing, but also by watching others, also by observing others. And more importantly, I feel, especially in a corporate setup, you genuinely need to like people. And the other learning I've had is keep your ego outside when you walk into office. Because when you keep your ego outside, you just end up absorbing that much more. And otherwise, I know it all attitude just comes to bite you, if not on year one, definitely on year 5.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, those have been things that I've learned over the years and continue to stay grounded, at least as far as those areas are concerned.
No, very rightly said. In fact, there's a saying is that you can always connect the dots backward. You cannot connect the dots forward, right? So, yeah. Very, very nice. So and I'm starting right from the beginning, right, which is there. Were you doing any extracurricular activities? Anything people don't know your hidden skill?
No, I was a little bit. I was into music.
Huh?
Yeah, so I used to hum some Bollywood numbers here and there. I liked playing cricket. I liked playing chess. Liked playing table tennis. Yeah, but I think for me, I just had a good time with friends. For me, I think if I were to reflect back on my childhood, it's always about being with friends and having a great time with friends. But in terms of hobbies, I would say music. That's something which I enjoy really a lot.
No pressure. If you want to ever sing a line during this podcast, is more than welcome.
Later, definitely not in the podcast.
All right. Going back to your career, and getting the first job is always a joy, especially in the campus when you get placed. Man, there's a big joy. Um, Tell me a little bit more in terms of your experience of your that joy and then getting into corporate world. How was it? Because those are the formation here, right? For the career.
No, I think for me, I would step back and look at reflections.
Okay.
Right? I think, as I said, we all sound wiser with time. What one studies and what one does actually in a corporate world are very different. I think when you are studying, while obviously in B school, you still have group projects, etc., etc. You really don't understand the essence of teamwork and the dependence on each other for work. So that is one massive learning what one gets when one walks into corporate life.
So tell me a little bit more on this.
Let's say in school, in B school, you are doing a an HR project or a marketing project,
Mm.
right? You're just collecting data. Somebody else is collecting, what is happening in other companies from benchmarking perspective. Somebody else is,
Yeah.
making a PPT, so
Yeah.
on and so forth, right? But at the same point in time, when one is doing that, that project actually is a priority for everybody, right?
Mm.
But when you moment to come into a real world setup, your own priority need not necessarily be somebody else's priority number one as well,
Yeah.
right? So for you, you want to get thing X done, though we are all part of the same team. For somebody else, closing Y becomes more important on the same day as compared to X,
Yeah.
right? So that's one big learning,
Mm.
right? Second big learning is, especially in a B school, more or less people have similar knowledge levels, similar
Yeah.
skill levels, right? But when you walk into a corporate setup, you just see really so many bright minds, so many experienced minds. I mean, I've had bosses whom you would just end up starting to say something and they'll be literally predicting what could have happened in that scenario because of that experience. Whereas for you, you are probably experiencing it for the first time in your life. So you are kind of not sure what the unknown part of it, right? So that's the other big difference you see. Third is, tools and technology. I mean, as I gave the example Lotus 1 to 3. I know a lot of kids might not have been hearing of it. I didn't know of it that
Yeah.
it existed,
Yeah.
right? For me, the only thing I remember from my school days is I had to keep my slippers outside before I could get into the computer room, right? Because you're not supposed to get your slippers inside and make the computer room dirty.
Yeah.
So from there, coming into understanding, hey, technology is important. It helps us to work fast, and you are touching it, and you are kind of trying to make work out of it, was another massive uh, learning. And last but not the least, I think the feedback process,
Yeah.
right? When in college, you are getting marks on what you write, right? Or what are projects you have done, which is very different from your manager sitting down with you and giving you feedback in terms of what you did well, what you did not do well, more importantly, what you can do to become better, and there were no marks. So that shifting that,
But you
what
get
good,
marks. End of the year, you get some
but
marks.
that's an appraisal rating,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
different
Okay.
from saying I got 6 on 7 or
Yeah.
5.5 out of 7 in this subject, right?
Yeah.
So the concept of feedback is a very, very powerful concept to take back. Hey, I thought I knew this, but I don't know this. Or I knew I did not know this, but people seem to think that I know this. So you get more aware of your blind spots also as part of the feedback process.
Yeah.
For me, those were very, very powerful and humbling experiences, if I may call it.
Very nicely articulated. Maybe I'll stay on a particular one point. Is team, right? And team management, team participation, I think is overrated and undervalued. And the reason I say that, everybody knows, everybody has to work. And why do you think is that still different mechanisms are really there, or different behaviors are there, and team is really built, in sports and businesses and things like that. I mean, you have such a vast experience in various organizations. What is your take in that?
I think at the end of, when you're looking at teamwork, linked to that is the alignment on goals. That's why even in a game like football or in cricket, you have a coach or a captain who's kind of driving the alignment. Otherwise, all of us come from very different backgrounds, have a very different appreciation of what good means. I mean, just the definition today, if you ask 10 individuals in a team, what would good look like for you? I'm fairly certain everybody would have a different picture. This is what good would look like. I think the role of the leader to align that this is what excellence means is the foundation of building a strong team. And how do I create shared goal, a shared vision? What does excellence mean? What should I do? What should I not do? What would shared values look like? I think that's where the rubber hits the road, because there's a small thing that at least I have experienced in my life. All of us have our own personal value system,
Yeah.
right? So when all of us are our own individual self, that takes precedence. The moment you're coming into a team environment, it's about a Venn diagram. What's common, right? So therefore, as individuals, how do I spend more of my energy on the common and less of my energy on me, is a balance that all of us as respective team members need to play at. Those who bring more of my own into a team, you'll end up saying, hey, this person is not a team player, right? So that those are conscious changes that we have to make as individuals, and therefore at times, to your point, it gets overvalued, at times it gets underrated, right? But at the end of the day, in my assessment, corporate life is a team game. I mean, and all of us are dispensable at the end of the day. It's if the company does well, or if your team does well, only then you do well. Otherwise, individual brilliance gets limited. I'm sure. I mean, look. I mean, you were an out-and-out HR professional, and now you're an entrepreneur on your own. Tell me a little bit more. What have you seen on team? Given that you have seen this at the table as well.
So look, I think one of my boss used to talk about is that, and that has lasting impression on me, is that he used to say always that I am only successful when my team is successful.
Yes.
And that itself is a big
Statement.
right? There. And I think, and the moment you really make it very simple, and then the message is really given to people, then they really take it in that way. And then eventually ways of working, resources, and all those things is part of things are there. But that the rhythm really comes in with the leader and the team members. And that and certain time it really comes that, yeah, there is a captain in the team, but everybody really punches their own weight to really make it happen, right? So that's to me is the best team, but not always you really get that, and you get to experience. And I would also say, I would add here as well, is that in the experience, having worked with best team and not so good team is also an experience. Then you learn is that what are the nots to do.
Yep.
By observing as well. So yeah, so that is my experience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Moving on to you talked about another aspects of feedback, right? There, and again the same statement I really make it is people say feedback is a gift. But do people really take feedback as a gift? What has been your experience?
That is something which I try and do for myself, right? Both as an employee and as a team leader, right? The two sides to it. I think one thing, two things that I think really help us absorb feedback. When I'm saying feedback, it can be both good and not so good. Right? One is being secure about yourself. I think that's the starting point. I mean, and I can safely say I've done more than, God knows, thousands and thousands of appraisal discussions. Very rarely I see somebody disagreeing on their strengths. Everybody agrees on their strengths. Even if you know that this may not be a strength, but I'm just kind of trying to motivate this person. So the first is being secure. The moment if I'm secure, my ability to take feedback the way they are. I'm now not talking about the stronger feedback, which I need to improve on. That improves because I know that I'm good or I'm not, whatever. This is who I am as a person. That's point number one. Point number two is listening. I think if you really want to make the best of the feedback that is coming your way, listen to it. Don't process your mind when you're listening to the feedback, because that's when you get into a reflection mode after that, you really work on it. So this is something which I try and do for myself, because my bosses have given me all kinds of feedback, and I really owe a lot of my development to that feedback. And that is something which I keep telling my own team as well, that please be secure about yourself. You are good, that's why you're doing this job currently. Point number 2 is whatever feedback comes in, whether good or the not so good, listen to it. Third, something that I've done for myself is have at least 1 or 2 confidants or friends in the system who are your genuine well-wishers, with whom you can let your guard down. Because in corporate setup, especially as you grow up in your career, it gets slightly more lonelier. People end up becoming slightly more politically correct at times because there are just so many stakes at play there. So you need at least 1 or 2 friends, confidants, well-wishers, whatever one may call it, who would not mind calling a spade a spade. I mean, there's just so many. If I just go back on my appraisals, there was just one boss of mine who wrote so many times that I speak very fast, and it is so difficult to follow me. It's not that I still don't speak fast. I still try and.
For you?
Yeah. Oh, and you won't believe it, I've worked a lot on that.
Okay.
Personally. Because that leader could explain to me how I'm losing out by speaking fast.
Okay.
Right. And but before that, had the connection with me because I trusted and saw him as a well-wisher and not somebody who's trying to break my confidence.
Very nice.
So I think, and that's what I try and emulate when I'm trying to become a team leader. That am I breaking the person's confidence in front of me, or am I coming across as a well-wisher? Because the moment I come across as a well-wisher, then the person will take the feedback, whatever I have to share. It's on the not so, on the tougher ones. The good feedback, I mean, that's obviously always welcome. I said earlier, right? Not many people disagree on the good feedback. I can say, yeah, I'm really good.
On reflection on this, when you interview, this is my data, I don't know what the research is really says, this is my data. When you do interview and you ask strengths and you ask for what are your improvement areas, usually by and large you get 2 or 3 answers in a way, which is I need to be patient. I need to be patient, so I don't need to really tell people to really do faster. In a way, it's a good thing to, in a different way of really putting. Or I need to be working on my well-being and spending too much time in the office and so on and so forth. I think the self-reflection, people say that the self-reflection is the best medicine for anybody.
Absolutely.
Who would like to really grow in life there, and then that, and it's a cliche thing, is that learning never stops.
Absolutely.
Which is there. But deep listening also requires skill, empathy, and also in terms of just not just the deep listening, but also really working upon them as
reflection.
Reflection on them as well. Otherwise, my wife keeps telling me, and I'm deep listening but not really working on them, the same problem comes, right? There. So deep listening also requires work on that as well. Okay. Over the years, I'll move on to the next thing. Over the years, what do you think HR has become better, and what do you think HR has not become better?
I think it's a very interesting question, and again, this is just my own perspective. I think functionally, in general, I see HR much more comfortable with tech, relatively speaking, as compared to where functionally we were 5 years back, 10 years back. I think given the constant talk around try and understand the business that you're a part of. I see HR making good positive intent to learn the business along with um, understanding how their job is impacting the business. That needle is moving. Um, area where HR needs to further keep working on is around change management, because at the end of the day it is all about people. While we keep saying change is a constant, there's a huge role that HR as a function can play uh, to enable that change. Though rather than saying, hey, obviously the manager has to lead the change, but there's something else enabling or orchestrating a change. I think that's an area where I think as a function, we still need to learn quite a bit. Just going back to my B school days, we learned OB1, OB2, right, during our school days, B school days. I think it's important to learn change management 1, change management 2.
Yeah.
Because the world is changing, which means what not changing? People are changing. Expectations, people are changing. So if I truly want to keep employee at the center of an organization, I need to play a part in helping them navigate that change, and that has to be expertise led. It can't be let me try X, let me try Y, let me try Z. So I think that's an area I think me included, all of us need to continue to work on.
And so coming back to the first point, I'll come back to this change management as well. So business acumen, understanding the business acumen, and then your kind of industry or anywhere is really there. Where the people are the main assets are really there, and it makes a big difference in terms of really understanding the business and linkage to that. I had asked this question to few CHROs, right? And that's the reason I'm really asking this, that if you want to really tell your team to okay, walk me through the P&L of the organization, which is available now on the internet as well, because you're a listed company, it is really available. Will you be able to do that, right? And I think that's the testimony for people to really understand the P&L part as well. Coming back to the change management, so what should we do? Because earlier the change was like, yeah, it is happening, but now change is so rapid. Some of them are in your control, some of them are not in your control, and it is changing quite rapidly. And as it is expected, things are really changing every day. So what should we do to really cope up with that?
It's a brilliant question. As I said, so none of us can predict.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. For example, 5 years back, or 10 years, 7 years back, when COVID hit 2019, 2020, none of us knew how should one handle it.
Yeah.
So one is the unexpected that is going to happen, and then there's an expected. For example, impact of AI. Everybody's talking about it, but one is yet to touch and feel it in large scale.
Yeah.
Right. But at least one thing which at least I try and do, and I try telling my team to do, is the moment you see something or hear something, try and reflect on what would it mean for people. Well, that's just first starting point. So that you know this is a problem I need to solve, or this is how I need to prepare an organization, this is how I need to prepare myself, so on and so forth. So if you think of a situation, or if you come across a situation, either read about it or you experience it, step back and reflect, what would it mean? Will this be small scale or will this be large scale? Right? What would it mean for people? What would it mean for my business model? What would it mean for my operating framework? So on and so forth. Right? I'm just painting a picture here. So the moment you start thinking about it, I'm fairly certain, while one could challenge different solutions, you'll at least come up with 2 or 3 or 4 provocative questions.
Yeah.
The moment you start thinking, what is the implication? And then it makes sense to discuss that in your ecosystem. Irrespective, if you're the CHRO, you're discussing that with the CEO and your leadership team. If you're in the middle layer of the organization, you're talking to your peers and your business leaders at that level, having those conversations by planting those provocative questions. This is what it means, this is what was going to happen, what should we do? So that you get a lot more intentional about the change. Because it's about, if you bring a topic to the table for a conversation, you'll end up having the right outcomes around it. And then obviously, as I said, the solution may or may not be right, because in an agile world, none of us know how to solve all problems.
Yeah.
But my learning is good is better than perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
In a corporate setup, right? So you are being intentional about discussing implications. You're being intentional about having conversations. That's going to lead to a couple of good outcomes, which you then get into action mode. And when you're getting into action mode, it's a 360, right? Because then you're learning something. Hey, maybe model A is not working. Let me try model B now. Right. But the starting point is reading and saying, what does it mean for my team? What does it mean for people? What does it mean for my organization? So that questioning becomes an important start point. I mean, again, I'm sure there are better methods of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm no expert on change management, but this is what I try and do.
Yeah, because the change management, as you rightly said as well, this is becoming so important. And then, but maybe to you, because you are managing a large organization, 30,000 people, a lot of things are really changing, and you are sitting on the hot seat of managing change. So one is the process, but individually, how do you really handle this constant change? And if I may use the word pressure, how do you really manage it? Because it's important that as well, right?
So our CEO Nitin Rakesh, he keeps telling all of us a very famous quote by Billie Jean King, that pressure is a privilege. He keeps driving it into all our minds 24/7. And then, if you're not, first and foremost, 3 things I would say, at least what I try to do for myself. One, am I getting bogged down by the pressure, or am I enjoying it? That's the first part. At least for me, I try and see any situation that I am in, that's a problem to be solved, rather than getting so emotionally attached to it that I don't get my sleep at night. Right? Because I need to sleep well at night so that I can give back my best the next day morning. So having that mindset that this is a problem to be solved or blocked and tackled, vis-a-vis something that is going to affect my mental health. That's point number 1. So seeing it as a challenge, point number 1. Point number 2 is we underestimate the power of talking to colleagues and sharing, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing, what do you think about it? Because we underestimate the power of ideas that could come from multiple people. You're at the end of the day, pressure comes when you're thinking about solutions and you think, am I doing it all by myself? So when you bounce off ideas, when you bounce off questions, when you have conversations, formal, informal, you end up just collating so much of information, and you do it intentionally. It's not like, let me talk to my friend only if I feel like.
Yeah.
It has to become part of your mental makeup. That's when you kind of come up with ideas. Hey, this is how a problem can be solved. And that includes not only colleagues, peers, mentors, but I'm saying, of course, without breaking boundaries of confidentiality. Right? That's other important thing to try and do. Third is having a hobby, because you need to unwind. Because when you unwind and your mind is fresh, you think better, think more effectively. But at the end of the day, you have to enjoy it, right? So if you can't, that's why I said I like the term pressure is a privilege. That when you're going into a very senior job, you need to be mentally aware that with this job would come its share of pressure points, and I must look forward to it.
Mm.
Right? I'm a big follower of tennis, right? So I'm saying, like, it's easy to be number one in the world.
Yeah.
But if you truly want to become a Djokovic or a Federer, you have to enjoy being number one.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have to enjoy the pressure that comes with being number one. That's when you become number one for 500 weeks or 400 weeks or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So that part one has to build for himself or herself.
Yeah. Yeah. Also from especially to youngsters, when you're really talking about the pressure point, especially to the millennial and Gen Z, which are what is the one message you would like to really give it to them?
First and foremost, they're far more knowledgeable, far more self-confident, far more creative personally, I think, than what I was when I was in their age.
Yeah.
Right? I had such low confidence in terms of I wouldn't have dared speaking with a one-on-one boss. I've literally shivered speaking with a one-on-one boss. I think that's their strength. I would say that when you're trying to do anything, try and understand why you're solving that problem. And what are the interconnections. I think when we do our jobs, we are so focused on our lanes that we miss the opportunity of seeing what is the implication of this on the neighboring area. Right? So if you can constantly think about what are the implications of my job on something around me, it helps just to give a better perspective on what you're doing. It makes you much more thoughtful and mature about an outcome once you're designing.
Yeah.
That's point number one. Point number two is, I would say, look, a lot of management books would say multiple things, but I strongly personally believe that have a mindset that the onus of building trust lies with you.
Yeah.
And there is if you're walking into a company, there is no reason for anybody to trust you.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they would like you, they'll welcome you, they'll do all the right assimilation. You cannot assume that people will trust you. The onus of building trust lies with you. And how do you build trust? You build trust by having credibility. How do you build credibility? By having a high say-do ratio, delivering on things that are coming your way, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So build trust, build your credibility, influence stakeholders, know your job, know the impact of your job on the adjacencies. And then I'm sure, depending on your ambition and interest, whatever, right, you'll get to where you need to get to.
Yeah. I'll share two anecdotes. Recently is what happened. So I was addressing one of the leadership team in one organization, and lot of topic was really there around expectation, how it is really there, and bringing two generations or multi-generations really working together. One of the point I was really making to them is that, look, especially people, the later generation, which is your Gen X and people like you and me, who are in the corporate world for next 10 to 15 years, right? And the next generation is really coming in. And I think they are, as you said, they are much more wiser. They really understand things. They know a lot of things as well. And the world has to slowly start really adopting and really changing. It is happening already. Is that they are the future leaders. We need them more than they need us.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's one point. Second, I will share with you one of the example. What the CHRO was really speaking to. He said that one of the employee, he had some of the feedback about the organization. He went to the social media and he commented. Right. So obviously, a lot of people were very, very upset. Is that how could we do this? So he had a meeting with him. He said, "So what happened? Why did you do this? Why?" He said, "Why not? I have my personal problem. I go to social media and say things. So there's nothing wrong I have really done.
Yeah.
Right? Which is so that the things are
changing,
which is really done. And obviously, and CHRO was very, very matured enough to really understand and able to really process it, and of course things were really solved. But that's how the things are really changing.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I've just seen so many times, especially in the IT industry, you ask an employee that why don't you work for team B after the end of project A, they'll say, well, they'll not commit on day zero. They'll go back, they'll do their own homework on the manager that they're going to work with, and then come back the next day and say, okay, I want to work with this project, or I don't want to work in this project. Something that I wouldn't have thought I would have done. My boss would have said, okay, go and work in project B. I said, yes, sir, I'm going. And then next day morning, 9 o'clock, I would have been there in the project. Right? So, the world is changing. Absolutely. Very well put.
Yeah. My last point is on one more similar theme is overrated and undervalued is employee experience. Everybody talks about it, right? What is your take on that?
It's a very complex area, especially the larger as an organization you are, especially if you're geographically spread. It just means so many different things to so many different people. Right. And for me, the future is all about, using tech to get into a hyper-personalized world. Having broad-based approach would not work very clearly. So the theme itself of employee experience is changing, let me call it. And that it has multiple facets to it, right? First, how am I listening? Is my listening changing? As organization, all of us are listening, right? Using various tools to listen. Am I listening? The way I'm listening, is that changing? Second, how am I reaching to my employees faster using tech? Right. Third, how am I creating local communities? Because it's very difficult to say, let's all get all 50,000 people together. You can try and get them in a town hall virtually, but the game is about creating local communities. Right. So you are creating a network of teams vis-a-vis a one large team.
Yeah.
Right. That itself is a big change. Fourth is recognition itself is undergoing a change. What would you recognize? Is it results? Is it behavior? Is it both? That's one spectrum. Other spectrum is how will you recognize? So the recognition itself has different connotations in the minds of different people, right? So therefore, how I see the space emerging is, it would emerge as a buffet that's there for people to pick and choose what would be of best to their interest, and you are providing that framework for employees to pick and choose. That's how at least I see organizations moving ahead. Instead of saying, okay, this is how it's going to work. And that's a big shift. That's a huge shift. And therefore, what it translates to is, there would be an organizational culture, and then there will be organizational subcultures.
Yeah.
That will be at play. Because how people, like I said, it's such an exciting area, and more importantly, especially, initially people would change jobs once in 6 years, once in 7 years, 10 years back. Now people are changing jobs every 2 years, 3 years. So they're having experience in company A. They're joining company, then start to get into comparison mode, and very normal, right? I would do the same. Therefore, how do you get people to understand this is what we do, and this is what we mean, and this is what it means for you as an employee? And that is just so complex, especially at scale. So how do you really make EVP personalized is something that a lot of organizations are kind of thinking about. At least as for us as an organization, we have publicly stated our EVP in our webpage, that we want to be high tech, high touch, high trust company. But it would mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
Of course, there are central themes which cuts across. This is who we are. But driving that value proposition in Germany is different from driving value in Mexico.
That's true.
Vis-a-vis driving it in India. So I need to be flexible in my mind. As a CHR, that looks, these how things will be different. So that's how I see this space changing. But again, I said, this is so complex, like so interesting as well.
Yeah, it is. And in fact, rightly you said is as well is that and I liked some of the points we really mentioning is that it needs to be really more personalized because everybody is really experiencing really different communities, and so on and so forth. And having agility on this
Yes.
also really helps as well. Yeah. So that's the bit there. Maybe I'll add another point here is that, and this is my take
Of course.
from experiences that HR team can really play or CHRO can really play a strategic role to really galvanizing things. But when you can really bring, especially the middle management, into the action,
Absolutely.
then things move very superbly,
rapidly.
very rapidly.
Absolutely.
And my expression on middle management is like they are sitting in a 3 seat in an aeroplane,
Yeah.
right? They are being nudged by the top management. They are being nudged by the junior, the team members, and hence that population needs empowerment, enabling stuff to really do things, and then the employee experience really brings.
True.
Yeah.
All of us have gone through that. Right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
I can understand the push and pull.
Yeah. Maybe some light-hearted questions to you.
Of course.
Last few. So, morning routine: tea, coffee, or something else?
Tea. I'm a tea person.
Favorite book or any book you're reading?
The last nice book I read was Give and Take by Adam Grant. I never realized the power of that concept itself, that giving is more important. Very powerful book.
And any you're a Bollywood buff as well, so any movie.
I mean, there's just so many of them. But I think
Okay, top 5.
top 5: Sholay, Dabang, Titanic. And I've got a bunch of outstanding movies that I've seen, right? And I mean, the Godfather series, of course.
Of course.
I'm a big fan of Al Pacino. So, yeah.
Okay. One product from all the companies you worked, and I'm putting in the spot, yeah, you can't live without.
You know, when I left, I was heading HR for Wipro Enterprises for some time, and when I left the company, I told my business leader that I'll continue to remain a consumer of Wipro consumer care products, Yardley and Santur and all this stuff. So I won't live up to my commitment to him.
I'm putting in the spot. The best compliment you have ever received from any leader?
That I'm cool under pressure. I don't get nothing. I'm fairly unfazed. I put it this way. That's the best compliment I got. That irrespective of the pressure, at least I try and portray that I'm under control.
One selfish question: what do you have to say about all things people?
Like them. No, I mean, I strongly believe, and one of my first bosses in GR told me that if you really want to be decent in HR, start by liking people. Because that's a profession you have chosen. Nobody's forced to get into that profession. You can't say, no, he's a good guy, he's not an average fellow, I don't like this person. Those are your personal opinions. You are an HR person, You have to like as many people as you can around you. For me, that's how I say it.
Oh, thank you, and I take that compliment. One advice you want to give to leaders or startup founder, what it would be?
Say, look, I mean, people like you have been so inspirational. Like, I must tell you, Anish, the fact that, especially in a field like HR, you could have so easily chosen to just have a good regular routine HR career and chose to sacrifice that and say, hey, let me try and do something on my own. Let me generate my own revenue. Let me generate my own profit. So I don't think I'm qualified to say much to such talent. The only thing I have is deep, deep, deep respect.
Oh,
It requires a lot of courage for somebody to leave a well-paying job and say, hey, let me be on my own. So the only thing I've said is I have only have respect for you guys. Tremendous.
thank you, thank you. It's pleasure having you here, and thank you for hosting in your office and for a lovely lunch. So it's pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Anish. Pleasure was mine.